And today we're going to talk about seniors and safe alternatives to the stock market. I'm Jenny Griggs. We're here today at Northern Wake Senior Center. And with me, I have Brian Salk again, who is an advisor here in the Wake Forest marketplace. We've invited Brian because he's really special to the Senior Center, has helped us a lot here, and really cares about you, the community, and the customer. Hey again, Brian, how are you doing?
Hello there, doing well, thank you, Jenny.
Good. You want to just give a quick update?
Sure, so the last session was seniors in the stock market, and hopefully
Right.
you watched that, folks, that video, and just all the ups and downs, what's happening now, what's happened in the past, what could happen in the future. And so I talked about during that time that there are alternatives to the stock market that a lot of seniors may not be aware of, okay? I know you had some questions on that, Jenny.
Right, I certainly learned a lot.
Sure, and you had some questions on the safe alternatives. I know you mentioned you had those questions there.
Yeah, I do. And the questions, the first one would be, are there any safe alternatives to the stock market that are available to seniors? Would be the first question. Number two I'd like to cover is, what guaranteed products are available? And number three, what are the pros and cons of those products?
Great. So just quickly on my background, I have a background of 20 years in the financial services industry. First 9 years at Merrill Lynch, kind of on the Wall Street side. The last 11 years, more on the independent side, a little more focused on the guaranteed side of things. So I've been on both worlds. So I can speak with experience on both the stock market investments, non-stock market investments, those that have more guarantees. So today we just want to throw out pros and cons, what's available, let you folks maybe do some of your own research and make some decisions for yourself. So I'm going to show a chart up here, Jenny, very helpful chart, and it shows three worlds of investing. What's great about this chart, it breaks down investing into three different worlds, meaning one world is the investment side that has no guarantees, and the other two worlds are the guaranteed side. So for those of you looking on this chart on the screen, we're going to look on the right-hand side first, where it says investments, the red circle. Those are all the things out there you can invest in that have no guarantees, such as it says your mutual funds and stocks and bonds and options and REITs and so forth, and variable annuities. They all have a lot of similarities, and they're listed underneath that red dot. Principal is not guaranteed. Interest and earnings are not guaranteed. Term is generally open-ended. You can buy or sell typically whenever you want, typically. And you need time to be effective because you go through a lot of ups and downs. And you can throw real estate into there, gold and silver, all those kind of things. No guarantee attached. Over time, people can oftentimes make a lot of money in this. And if your timing is bad, sometimes you could lose a lot of money. So that's the risky side. We really talked about that in the first session. Well, what's available on the guaranteed side? Well, the reality is there isn't that many alternatives that are guaranteed. On the far left side of your chart is the green circle. And a lot of these are going to be familiar people. Bank CDs, government bonds. So right off the bat, as far as pros and cons, Jenny, what comes to your mind? What would be a pro of a CD or government bond? Positive.
Well, you earn some type of interest, but you don't have to really worry about it for its life expectancy or its term.
Yeah. And the principal is guaranteed.
Yeah.
Unless the government goes under, which we don't think it will, and the banks have FDIC and so forth, so you've got a guarantee, okay? And your principal is protected and a guaranteed interest rate typically, right?
Right.
Now, one of the cons is you always have to lock that up for a certain period of time. I mean, you can buy a 1-year CD or a 5-year or 10-year government bonds and so forth. So if you need your money to be 100% liquid, meaning I got to have availability to that money, well, you don't want to lock it up, right? Now, everybody needs to have some money liquid, meaning available. Now, sometimes people, another category of guarantee would be savings account, right? And that is liquid, right? But the negatives of the savings accounts right now, I mean, what's happened recently in the economy, the Fed just dropped rates almost to rock bottom. It feels like we're back in 2008, right? Now, you and I are old enough to remember the Jimmy Carter years in the 70s, where interest rates were 15% or higher. That sounds fantastic. The problem was inflation was that higher too, so it didn't really do much
I can
good,
remember a house that I wanted to purchase, and when I was gonna purchase, it was 22.5%.
right? So on the one hand, interest rate being low is great if you're borrowing money.
Yeah,
You can have a mortgage or a refi, or you need to borrow money, it's fantastic. But for your average senior out there, who through their years is kind of used to getting at least 3 to 5%, and now money markets, savings accounts, checking accounts, if they weren't already under 1%, they're going to go there soon probably. Okay, so that's a real problem there. You're ultimately earning less than inflation. Just to walk through what that means is inflation typically is around 2 to 3% in a given year. So think back, for those of you that say who are 75, 85 years old, what did you spend on your first house? How much did it cost you?
all right, I'm sure I had you beat. It
Good.
was $12,500.
I was going to say between 10 and 20,000.
Yeah,
Hard to imagine. It's hard to find a new car for that amount now, right?
Yeah.
So inflation is always with us. So if you're not earning at least what inflation is, you're actually losing money. But on the other hand, you got to have some money liquid. Now, the bank CDs and government bonds, safe. But another con is they're not paying much. And again, they've just come down again, all right? So it's a real struggle. A lot of seniors feel like between a rock and a hard place. What do I do, right? And particularly if you watch the last session and you don't want to have your money in the stock market, or you want at least some of your money guaranteed, you don't want it all in the stock market, what do? Bank CDs, government bonds, savings accounts. Not real thrilling, not real exciting, doesn't produce a lot. But one item on the list there, on the green circle, is fixed annuities. So a lot of you are familiar with fixed annuities. I call this type a plain vanilla fixed annuity, just my little term for it, because it's like a CD. What is it? A 5-year fixed annuity paying whatever that amount is. A 3-year fixed annuity, a 10-year. Very similar to CDs. Here's some of the advantages of those. And again, there's lots of insurance companies out there that are offering these fixed annuities. So you got to shop around for the best rates. Well, one is obviously your rate is guaranteed typically, and your principal is guaranteed. You can't lose it. They usually pay better than CDs. So if you compare the rates, fixed annuities usually gives you a better rate. And if your money is not in an IRA, let's say it's outside of an IRA, you're used to paying taxes every year on the little bit of interest you're getting on your CD or savings account, you actually get a tax shelter in a fixed annuity. So let's say you had $100,000 and it was earning 3% that year, and you don't need the money, it just stays in there and grows and grows and grows, and you don't pay any taxes on that until you pull it out. If you never pull it out, you die and pass it on, your children will pay taxes, or your heirs will, but you don't pay tax yourself. Okay? There's some advantages to that. Any questions on that, Jenny? Does it make sense to you?
yeah, it makes good sense.
Good. So it's very boring, but a lot of times boring is good.
Yeah, no, I think, I wish I had some more of those right now.
Now, some fixed annuities allow you to take out up to 5 or 10% each year. So more than you would with a CD. A CD, maybe you're earning 2-3% at most. You can take some money out now. You may be pulling out some of your own money, but it just allows you a little more liquidity, meaning more access to the money. So if you have 100,000 there and that CD allowed you to take out 10%, well, that's good to know. It's not just the interest. You can take out more than that with some fixed annuities. Okay. Now, the middle circle here is listed as a hybrid. Why is it listed as a hybrid? It's still on the guaranteed side. This is something here. There's 2 options listed. We're going to focus on the one that's called fixed index annuities. And that's also issued by a lot of insurance companies out there. They call it a hybrid because it has the guarantees like a CD, government bond, or a plain vanilla fixed annuity. But it has some upside potential, sometimes similar to what a stock market can return. And if you look at the bullet points below that, okay, it says it starts with principal protection. You can't lose any money. You can't lose a dime. It links your interest or your growth to an external market index. Well, I'm going to explain that in a minute, okay? Like any of these, there's penalties for early withdrawal. You pull it all out. So most people who buy the annuities are 5, 7, or 10 years. But generally speaking, you can take out up to 10% a year, so you have some liquidity there. So if someone's going to jump into one of these, as we said before, having the money on cash that's liquid, and know these types of annuities allow you to take out 10% a year. If you're taking out more than that, I mean, that's a problem. Your money is going to run dry. So you really want it to be something that's going to last you longer anyways. And here's the thing, you're not directly invested in the market in these, but it can grow with some upside. So I'm going to show you the next slide that will explain that. So up on your slide there is coming slide, which is showing an actual example of one of these fixed index annuities. And the chart I'm showing is way back from 1998 to 2010. It's just a nice big chart, easy to kind of see. And if you look at the maroon line, the maroon chart there, you can see that it goes up and down and up and down, and that's the stock market. On the right-hand side, you'll see that it says the S&P 500. And I circled a couple things. You see the year 2000, the bottom circle? That's the year the market started coming down. So you see the maroon line dropping all the way down for the next 3 years, dropped about 40% of the stock market, and then it zoomed back up. And then in 2008, it came back down again. So just kind of give you a little baseline scenario of the stock market. Well, what if someone had one of these fixed index annuities during that time? Again, offered by a lot of different insurance companies out there, not just the one that's not a commercial for the one that's listed in this chart. So you notice the dark blue line, not the light blue line, but the dark blue line. Back in 1998 to 2000, you notice it went up, but not as much as the stock market, meaning the maroon line is the stock market, and the dark blue line is this fixed index annuity. It received a portion of the upside, not all of it. But watch what happened when the stock market came charging down in the year 2000. So I circled that in yellow. And it may be hard to see possibly, but if you read the numbers on that, it stayed at $125,080. And you see the next year, $125,080. It didn't lose any money, and there were no fees attached to it. And those kind of times, we call that a hero. A zero is a hero when the stock market's down.
So there are no fees attached to that type?
Well, someone can add fees on if they want particular riders, but in this case, the plain kind that you have without a rider, there's no fees attached to it all.
Wow.
So you get a certain upside, and it's going to vary depending on the annuity and when you started and so forth. A certain particular upside, so if the market's up 20% a given year, 10% a given year, you get a certain percentage of that. When the market's down, it just stays flat. You didn't lose any money. And once you reach it, so your 100 went to, well, in this case, your 100 went to 125, it can never go below that, unless you take money out, of course. It's assuming no withdrawals. Now, the years after that, you notice the stock market zoomed up here in the chart from 2002 to 2008. And the dark blue line is fixed index annuity, went up, but not as much, not as steep, because you get a portion of the upside. 2008, again, the maroon, that's when the stock market crashed again. Look what happened in the yellow circle. The dollar amount there is $156,857, and it stayed the same. No fees attached, stayed flat all the way through. So the obvious pro of that is you're not dealing with the market coming down and having to wait to come back. If you go back to the first session that we recorded, seen as in the stock market, we talked about how long it takes for the stock market to come back. In the last two times that we're showing here in this chart, 2000 to 2002, and then 2008, 2009, took 4 to 5 years just to come back to even, and then you try to grow from there. In this case, you take that right out, and you stay flat when the market's down, and you just kind of inch your way back up and so forth. So it's another alternative, again, called a fixed index annuity. And if you look back at the previous chart on the 3 worlds of investing, that's again the blue circle in the middle called a hybrid fixed index annuity. Hybrid because it's guaranteed principal, but also has some growth potential that in some years can be similar to the kind of numbers you can get in the stock market. Now, what are the cons of this? Okay, well, we kind of already mentioned this before. You have to have a hold period, typically 5 to 10 years. You can only take out 10% a year. Okay. The other con, some people say, well, these just don't grow enough. They're just too conservative. Well, it all depends. And when the stock market is doing great, like up until this year, the stock market's been great for 10 years. Hardly anything can beat the stock market when the stock market's doing well. And if you look at 2000 and 2009, which is actually the previous chart, if we can go back to the previous chart, 2000 and 2009, if you remember this, Jenny, they called it the lost decade. Why? If you put your fingers across that chart and kind of walk across there, it was flat for 10 years. So flat for 10 years, CDs look pretty good when the market's flat for 10 years. So too concerned about, all depends on the timing of things and so forth, okay? So that's a fixed index annuity, and that's one option. Again, sorry to bounce back and forth, but going back to the three worlds of investing, we just showed you two different types of fixed annuities. The one on the left is the plain vanilla fixed annuity in the green circle. Like a CD, gives you a set rate of return, 5 years paying such and such, 3 years paying such and such. The blue one in the middle is the fixed index annuity. Certain years you can get 0, other years you can get a certain high percentage. And the one on the right I mentioned just briefly before, on the bottom of that red circle, variable annuities. We're actually not going to talk about it in this session because that is something you can lose principal on. We're talking about in this session is one of the annuities in which you cannot lose principal. Now, there's one other one that I'm not going to bother showing you the chart. We showed you enough chart. But one other one that people might be familiar with. If someone says, I need immediate income and I want it guaranteed, you can buy an annuity, and they're called single premium immediate annuity. That's kind of a mouthful. Or SPIA is the acronym. Again, if someone says, I need immediate income, and I want the highest income I can get, and I want it guaranteed, that's the vehicle people use to get that highest guaranteed income. So it's got a big pro to it. The big con is you can never change your mind on this. It's there for your lifetime. Now, it will pass money on to your kids, and that's a point I should bring up. All of these annuities have ways that the money can pass on to kids. So it's not like a pension. Your pension, sometimes your spouse will get it, but your kids don't get your pension. Your Social Security, when it goes away, your kids don't get your Social Security. But all these different types of annuities can be set up where the money that's left over will go to the children or heirs or spouse. So it's not like you're handing it over. But the last one, the single premium immediate annuity, not many people do this because it does kind of handcuff you a bit. It's a lifetime decision. But for some people, particularly getting older in years, and they're like, I just need the highest I can get, and I really, really need it. I don't care what's left to my heirs. My heirs don't care. They want me to get the highest amount of income. Then a single premium immediate annuity could be a good fit. But you want to weigh this out, look at the pros and cons of all these, and talk to your advisor and so forth. Now, what we mentioned in the first session is when a senior or anybody is trying to find out, hey, what's the best thing to do, it's hard to find objective advice. So I mentioned in the first session, if you Google any topic, politics, religion, health, finance, you come across all these opinions and your mind is swirling going, what in the world? How do I make sense of this? You want to try to look and say, all right, does that person have a bias? Does that person have an angle? They have some other agenda there, and oftentimes they do in all those different areas, right? So I like to present to people. I try to be objective to people. They can choose what they want. It's their money. Objective sources that have studied some of these annuities we just talked about. For instance, on the next slide here, there's an article on fixed index annuities. It says, consider the alternative. And the author there is Dr. Roger Ibbotson. He's the professor emeritus of the Yale University School of Economics. He's a big shot. And anybody who's involved in the industry, financial industry, has heard of Dr. Ibbotson's name. He's just very well known in the industry for all sorts of research he's done. He doesn't sell these products. He's not looking with an angle here to get some commission on the product. He's just doing more research. And guess what? It's a long article, so you're welcome to look it up, Google it, and read it yourself, or just read the excerpts. You can read the first 2-3 pages and the last 2-3 pages and get the sense of what he's saying. He's saying, you know what? A lot of folks ought to consider this fixed index annuity, the last one we talked about, as an alternative to bonds because they perform well and they're safe, and he gives all the reasons why. Get an objective voice, He's done economic research and came to that conclusion. Another one I have here is an interview with a Wharton professor from Wharton School of Finance, one of the most prestigious schools of finance in our country. He's a professor, Dr. Babel. He's an economics professor, and he did a peer-reviewed research over several years, and this article discusses it. You can Google, look it up yourself. He doesn't sell the products. He's not had no angle there. He had no preconceived notion of it. Just did boring research, looking back on the history of this, and came up with the conclusion that, you know what, for a lot of people, this might be a really good alternative that's performed well versus such and such, and you can read the article. So two very good objective sources to listen to and read about to get educated. So bottom line on all of these, you know, what does someone do? Are these alternatives good for you or not? You want to look at all your options, stock market options versus guaranteed options. In this session, really didn't talk about gold or silver or real estate, but those are other options to look at that are not guaranteed. Don't assume the experts know everything. Don't assume your advisor is an expert on some of these products either. For instance, a lot of advisors don't sell gold and silver or invest in real estate, so they're not going to be able to give you a great advice on that necessarily. Some advisors either don't like different types of fixed annuities, or they can't even offer them. So back when I was at Merrill Lynch for 9 years, for instance, the fixed index annuity we talked about, we didn't even have it as an offering. We just didn't. There's different reasons for that, so I couldn't really speak intelligently on it. I didn't really study it much. It's not something we offer. So you might have an advisor that can offer these, or maybe they don't. In that case, up to you. We're giving you some resources here to look up, do your own research, and decide, could this be something that's good for me or not? Now, I said in the last session, you know, I might step on some toes here, but in the end, if you decide some product here is the best thing for you, and your advisor doesn't really offer that, it could be investing in real estate. You're going to buy a house at low mortgage and rent it out. Maybe that's a great investment for you. Well, your advisor might not be thrilled you're taking money out of your account. It is what it is, right? Or you might want to fix the next annuity and they don't offer it. Well, it is what it is. If that's the best thing for you, you do what's best for you. Not worry about their commission. Don't worry about your lifestyle, your money, what's best for you and all. So that's kind of a wrap there, Jenny. Do you have any other questions on that?
No, I think this has been great, and that's the reason you're here, because you are a non-biased advisor, and we really appreciate that. And what are we going to do in the next session?
You know, looking at a couple of different topics. One is on the Secure Act, which was passed in January. We kind of forget about that because they just passed the CARES Act. Some tax changes, other changes that took place that some of them apply to seniors. And also, we might do another session just on taxes in general, where they are not, where they might go, what should people do as far as taxable accounts and tax-deferred accounts and tax-free accounts. Do a whole other session on that. Might be able to bring in possibly a CPA to help talk about some of those issues.
That sounds good. It's never too late to pay attention, is it?
Absolutely. You can always learn something.
Yeah.
You can teach an old dog new tricks, right? If you're teachable and willing to learn.
Yeah, well, it can make a difference. Well, again, I want to thank you. Thank you for joining Engage with Age, and we look forward to seeing you the next time.